Customers are going to ask you to match colors, and here's the best way of doing it. First of all, get a sample if you can from the customer, because what they think is a color and what you think is a color may not be the same. And to the extent possible, you want to use pre-mixed colors. All the ink companies have these, and they offer a color chart showing what colors are available. I happen to have one here from Union Ink, and Union Ink displays all the standard pre-mixed colors. That's the easy way for you. Just take the ink out of the can, put it in the screen. Maybe the ink needs a little modification to make it printable, and you're off and running. However, sometimes customers will ask you for a PMS color. PMS, that means Pantone Matching System. Pantone is an independent company. They are a testing service. All the ink companies submit their samples to Pantone, and the Pantone company then tells the ink company what the color is by number. Okay? Ink companies pay a lot of attention to matching those numbers and being consistent about that. And they then publish formula books. And of course, the ink companies have different inks. So this is one example I have. It's from Union Ink, and it's the Unimatch Formula Guide. They also offer this on disc and probably online. So your customer comes to you and they say, well, we want Pantone number, and they give you the number. Ad agencies are big at this. So whatever the color is, like 253 here has 30% white in it. And so you can go pull out the particular white, Unimatch white, that the book calls for. Get yourself a little container like this. This happens to be a Smart Balance container brought from home. It's empty. And what we do is we weigh it on a scale, a postage scale. And then we get the weight of the container, and then we say, okay, this ink, first ink I'm going to put in is 30%. So by eye, I put in what I think is 30% of the total amount of ink that I'm going to need. Say that comes up to 15 ounces, grams, whatever you're using. So 0.3 divided into the weight, well, first of all, you take the total weight, ink in the container, subtract out the weight of the container, so you know weight of just the ink, and then divide that by the 0.3, and that would give you the total weight of the ink that you will have when you've mixed it according to this formula. And then you go to all your other colors, say there's one that's 5% or 20% or whatever they are, and you just keep adding each of those inks in by the percentage. So that if you go to an ink and it requires another, say, 5 grams, you put in 5 grams. Okay, if the next one requires 10 grams, you put another 10 grams in, or ounces, whichever unit of measure you're using. And that's how you get to a PMS color match. Now, one thing about PMS, there are actually more than one PMS. For example, I had a lady from Singapore wanted me to print some hats for her, and she gave me the PMS number that she wanted, or numbers, I should say. I also got a sample, and the colors were totally different than what we deal with. Turns out she was using a PMS guide from a different industry, not from the screen printing industry. So you got to make sure you're talking PMS in the screen printing industry, or you'll get fooled. So it's always good to look. Another example that we were printing and got a sample from a customer. They gave us the numbers, and when we mixed up the numbers and did a test print and we matched it to the sample, they were not at all alike. The customer's samples did not match their own numbers. So now the question is, which do you want? Do you want the sample or do you want the numbers? That's the customer's decision. We had to tell the customer that their sample did not match the numbers. So those are the kind of problems you get into, and all of this takes time, and time costs you money. So you want to be real careful about taking PMS color matching work. And if you go to the ink supplier and ask for pre-mixed colors, they're going to say, we want, you know, a number of gallons in the order, there's a mixing charge, it's going to take 3 weeks. It's not easy. And So if your customer wants PMS, you should charge, and you don't have to go to your manufacturer to get the PMS. You can buy all the ingredients you need in small amounts and mix up exactly what your customer wants. But you should charge, and charge plenty, for the service, because it's such a hassle compared to just opening up a can of ink and get something that's really close and you're off and running. In reality, does it really matter? The only ones who really care are corporations who are matching their color scheme and advertising agencies. But the general public, for kind of work that you'll probably typically be doing, you'll never get into PMS color matching. You can just use standard colors. What do you do when you have a color that you have to match, but you do not know how to make the color? The answer is you need a formula guide like this. And this one is Pantone Matching System. In other words, it's for inks. There are formula guides like this for paint and other types of color systems, but you shouldn't really use those. You need to have one like this. And each of the colors has a number on it. That's the PMS number. And it also tells you what the formula is. If you're using the same exact ingredients that these people use, well, you may not have those ingredients. However, if you have a formula guide such as the Unimatch formula guide, which is an ink mixing system, or a similar guide from another ink mixing system, you can look up those same numbers and you'll know exactly the ingredients to make the color of your choice. So that's how you go from a color that you need to make, but you don't know how to make it. Start with a formula guide. That's the answer. So that's the story about color matching. If you have any questions, give us a call, send us an email. We're happy to help. That's what we do here.